All right. Act 4, Scene 3 is interesting. It can be confusing if you don't read it carefully. Macduff has made his way into England and is at the King of England's palace. He's interested in talking to Malcolm, the rightful heir to the throne. But if you were Malcolm, would you trust him? So Malcolm and Donalbain fled when the king was murdered. They didn't want to have a target on their back to be the next person who was murdered. And so he's been here trying to figure out things. And this new person from Scotland comes and tries to get him to come back. You would be very careful also in case it was a trick. So he and Macduff have this conversation, and I'm going to explain it as we go, where Malcolm is trying to make Macduff really show his true colors. So this is the conversation between them. Let us seek out some desolate shade, and there weep our sad bosoms empty. Let us rather hold fast the mortal sword, and like good men bestride our downfall and birthdom. Each new morn, new widow's howl, new orphan's cry, new sorrow strike heaven on the face, that it resounds as if it felt with Scotland and yelled out like syllable of dolor. So we can't just sit here and cry about Scotland. All of these horrible things are happening every day. Orphans are made, widows are made. It's terrible there. We have to act. Well, what I believe I'll wail, what no believe, and what I can redress as I shall find the time to, friend, I will. What you have spoke, it may be so perchance. This tyrant, whose sole name blisters our tongues, was once thought honest. You have loved him well. He hath not touched you yet. I am young, but something you may deserve of him through me, and wisdom to offer up a weak, poor, innocent lamb to appease an angry God. So maybe you're just here to trick me. I am not treacherous, but Macbeth is. A good and virtuous nature may recoil in an imperial charge. If you remember back to Romeo and Juliet, when Romeo goes to see the friar is picking flowers, and he's giving off this philosophy that in all plants as well as man, there resides good and evil. And whichever side you feed the most, that's the one that will prevail. And so he's saying the same thing. You guys thought Macbeth was wonderful, and he was honest, and he wasn't treacherous, but now look, he is. So we have these two natures in all of us. But I shall crave your pardon. That which you are, my thoughts cannot transpose. Angels are bright still, though the brightest fell. So even though Lucifer, God's favorite angel, did fall from grace, did fall from heaven, the other angels were untouched and they continued to be in heaven, so maybe I do have to trust that some are still good. Though all things foul would wear the brows of grace, yet grace must still look so. I have lost my hope, said Macduff. Perchance even there where I did find my doubts, why in that rawness left your wife and child, those precious motives, those strong knots of love, without leave taking? I pray you, let not my jealousies be your dishonors, but mine own safeties. You may be rightly just, whatever I shall think. So he has to sort of take a step back and say, you did leave your wife and children in this horrible state in Scotland, so maybe you are here on a good reason, for good reasons. Bleed, bleed, poor country, great tyranny, lay thou thy bases sure, for goodness dare not check thee. Wear thou thy wrongs, the title is afeard. Fare thee well, lord, I would not be the villain that thou thinkest for the whole space that's in the tyrant's grasp and the rich east to boot. So, if this is what you think of me, I am not going to sit here with you. I would rather someone give me the whole of Scotland and all the riches in the east than be a tyrant and be someone who is treacherous, someone who you think that I could be. So no thanks. So Malcolm now understands him a bit more and wants him to stay. Be not offended. I speak not in absolute fear of you. I think our country sinks beneath the yoke. It weeps, it bleeds, and each new day a gash is added to her wounds. I think withal there would be hands uplifted in my right, and here from gracious England have I offer of goodly thousands. So, if I did go back, there will be a lot of people that would support me. Here, even in England, I've been offered support. But for all this, when I shall tread upon the tyrant's head or wear it on my sword, yet my poor country shall have more vices than it had before, more suffer in more sundry ways than ever by him that shall succeed. But if I'm king, I will be worse for Scotland than Macbeth is. Macduff does not understand why he would say this. What should he be? It is myself, I mean. in whom I know all the particulars of vice so grafted, that when they shall be opened, black Macbeth will seem as pure as snow, and the poor state esteem him as a lamb being compared with my confineless harms. Again, the black and white imagery, the light and dark. Macbeth being so black now, he would look as pure as snow compared to me. Now, you and I don't have any reason to think this of Malcolm. We don't know him well enough. Macduff can't believe what he's hearing, so we're going to get an explanation about why Macduff would not want to see Malcolm on the throne. Not in the legions of horrid hell can come a devil more damned in evils to top Macbeth. I grant him bloody, luxurious, avaricious, false, deceitful, sudden, malicious, smacking of every sin that has a name. But there's no bottom, none, in my voluptuousness. So Macbeth might have all these other sins on his head, but I top him in voluptuousness. So what he's saying is, well, let me finish. I bet you can figure it out. Your wives, your daughters, your matrons, and your maids could not fill up the cistern of my lust and my desire. All continent impediments would overbear that did oppose my will. Better Macbeth than such a one to reign. So he has so much desire, so much lust, that he would need to have relations. He would need to take over your wives, your daughters, your aunts, anybody he would want to have for his own use sexually. And Macduff looks at him. Boundless intemperance in nature is a tyranny. So someone who can control themselves and have willpower is tyrannous. It hath been an untimely emptying of the happy throne and fall of many kings. But fear not yet to take upon you what is yours. You may convey your pleasures in a spacious plenty and yet seem cold, the time you may so hoodwink. We have willing dames enough. There cannot be that vulture in you to devour so many as will to greatness dedicate themselves, finding it so inclined. So we've got a lot of women who would probably give themselves up to you, so long as you come back and save Scotland from Macbeth. Malcolm tries to one-up. With this there grows in my most ill-composed affection such a staunchless avarice, that were I king, I should cut off the nobles for their lands, desire his jewels and this other's house. And my more having would be as a sauce to make me hungry more, that I should forge quarrels unjust against the good and loyal, destroying them for wealth. So I would be so greedy, I would want everybody's lands, everybody's jewels, everybody's riches. I would take it all, and then I wouldn't be just happy enough doing that to the people that I have found victory over in fighting. No, I would take all the good people's riches as well. This avarice sticks deeper, grows with more pernicious root than summer-seeming lust, and it hath been the sword of our slain kings. So many people who are that greedy, who wanted to just take over people's lands and invade people for their wealth, that has been the undoing of many kings. But he can even work with this. Yet do not fear, Scotland hath foisons to fill up your will of your own. All these reportable with other graces weighed. So Scotland has enough riches. You would have enough riches. You will be satisfied. And he says that his graces, the things that are good about him, will be satisfied. But Malcolm now says, he doesn't have any graces. But I have none. The king becoming graces is justice, verity, temperance, stableness, bounty, perseverance, mercy, lowliness, devotion, patience, courage, fortitude. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it many ways. Nay, had I power, I should pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, uproar the universal peace, confound all unity on earth. So I don't have anything that's of good. I'm not courageous. I don't have verity with it, which is truth. Truth, justice, temperance. I would just be drunk. I'd be greedy. I have nothing. Matter of fact, I would take anything that's peaceful and I would pour it into hell. I would just have a complete chaos around me. So Macduff is done. He doesn't even know what to do now. Oh, Scotland, Scotland. So Malcolm eggs him on. If such a one be fit to govern, speak. I am as I've spoken. If I'm fit to govern, you just tell me. I'm good. This is me. If you like me, I'll come with you. And I love this line. Fit to govern? No, not to live. So he's not taking him anywhere. He's disgusted. "Oh, nation miserable with an untitled tyrant bloody sceptered." So Macbeth right now on that throne with a bloody scepter. "When shalt thou see thy wholesome days again, since that the truest issue of thy throne by his own interdiction stands accursed and does blaspheme his breed?" So what's going to happen to Scotland when this true king, this Malcolm, who is the true heir to the throne by his very own words, goes against himself? "Thy royal father was a most sainted king, the queen that bore thee, your mother, oftener upon her knees than on her feet." So she was always praying, died every day she lived. So she was always someone who was always praying, and by died every day she lived, that she was very humble, and she certainly wasn't on any kind of high horse or pedestal. And he's ready to take leave from Malcolm. "Fare thee well. These evils thou repeatest upon thyself have banished me from Scotland. Oh, my breast, thy hope ends here." So he's devastated. He can't take Malcolm back to Scotland if he's going to be worse than even Macbeth. And now Malcolm has to confess. He's lied. "Macduff, this noble passion, child of integrity, hath from my soul wiped the black scruples, reconciled my thoughts to thy good truth and honor." So the reaction Macduff had, that he's not just looking for anyone but Macbeth to sit on the throne, that he does have Scotland's best interests at heart, has made him come forward with this trick that he has pulled on Macduff. "Devilish Macbeth by many of these trains hath sought to win me into his power, and modest wisdom plucks me from over-credulous haste." So Macbeth has sent people to try to get him won over, try to suck him in. He can't do it. He has to be on his guard. He thought Macduff could have been one of those same people. "But God above deal between thee and me, for even now I put myself in thy direction and unspeak my own detraction. Here abjure the taints and blames I laid upon myself for strangers to my nature." So now I have to come clean with you. Everything I just said was a lie against myself. "I am yet unknown to woman." So not only am I not completely lusty, I am a virgin. I haven't even been with a woman yet, let alone wanting to take all the women in Scotland. "Never was forsworn," so I've never lied. "Scarcely have coveted what was mine own." I'm not materialistic. I don't even care if I keep my own belongings. "And no time broke my faith. Would not betray the devil to his fellow, and delight no less in truth than life." So I don't usually lie. I'm very faithful. I pray. I believe in God. "My first false speaking was this upon myself." So I've never told a lie until I just told this lie to you now. "What I am truly is thine, and my poor country's to command." So I am yours, and I belong to Scotland. "Whither indeed before thy here approach old Seward with 10,000 warlike men already at a point was setting forth." So already he's got support. He's got 10,000 men that are willing and able to march back to Scotland with him. "Now we'll together in the chance of goodness be like our warranted quarrel." Why are you so silent? So this is really throwing Macduff for a loop. "Such welcome and unwelcome things at once, 'tis hard to reconcile." Enter a doctor. "Well, more anon. We'll talk about more later. Comes the king forth, I pray you?" "Aye, sir, there were a crew of wretched souls that stay his cure. Their malady convinces the great assay of art, but at his touch, such sanctity hath heaven given his hand, they presently amend." This King Edward that Malcolm has been staying with, he was seemingly given a gift from heaven, and like Jesus, the people that were sick or dying, when he touched them, they seemed to heal. And so people would line up every day to get King Edward's healing touch. "What's the disease he means?" "'Tis called the evil, a most miraculous work in this good king, which often since my here remain in England I have seen him do. How he solicits heaven himself best knows, but strangely visited people all swollen and ulcerous, pitiful to the eye, the mere despair of surgery he cures, hanging a golden stamp about their necks, put on with holy prayers, and 'tis spoken to the succeeding royalty he leaves the healing benediction. With this strange virtue he hath a heavenly gift of prophecy, and sundry blessings hangs about his throne that speak him full of grace." More people enter. "See who comes here." "My countryman, but yet I know him not." "My ever-gentle cousin, welcome hither." So it's Ross that has come. "I know him now. Good God, betimes remove the means that make us strangers." "Sir, amen. Stand Scotland where it did?" Alas, poor country, almost afraid to know itself. It cannot be called our mother, but our grave. So things are still going badly in Scotland. Where nothing but who knows nothing is once seen to smile, where signs and groans and shrieks that rend the air are made, not marked where violent sorrow seems a modern ecstasy. The dead man's knell is there scarce asked for who, and good men's lives expire before the flowers in their caps, dying or ere they sicken. So before people who put flowers in their caps, before those flowers can even wilt, people are dying. There's dying so much that those church bells that ring, they're going so often now that nobody even looks up. Nobody even seems to notice. There's that much despair in Scotland. Oh, relation, too nice and yet too true. What's the newest grief? That of an hour's age doth hiss the speaker. Each minute teems a new one. So there's so much, I can't even tell you. There's just so much horror. How does my wife? Why, well, and just like in Romeo and Juliet, if someone has gone to heaven, that's what they mean by well. They're doing okay because they're in a better place. And all my children? Well, too. The tyrant has not battered at their peace? No, they were well at peace when I did leave them. And that's true in another sense. When he did leave them at the castle, they were still alive. Be not a niggard of your speech. How goest? So don't be small, don't be short. Be more generous with your speech. Tell us the news. When I came hither to transport the tidings which I have heavenly borne, there ran a rumour of many worthy fellows that were out, which was to my belief witness the rather for that I saw the tyrant's power afoot. Now is the time to help. Your eye in Scotland would create soldiers, make our women fight to doff their dire distresses. So please come back, Malcolm. If you step foot, people would rally. Be it their comfort, we are coming thither. Gracious England hath lent us good Seward and 10,000 men. An older and a better soldier none than Christendom gives out. Would I could answer this comfort with the like. So I wish I had good news to share with you, like you just shared that good news with me. But I have words that would be howled out in the desert air where hearing should not latch them. What concern they? The general cause? So is it something that we all should? It's bad news for all of us? Or is it a fee, grief due to some single breast? Is it one person's bad news? No mind that's honest, but in it shares some woe, though the main part pertains to you alone. So all of us are going to hurt from this, but it is yours. If it be mine, keep it not from me. Quickly let me have it. Let not your ears despise my tongue forever, which shall possess them with the heaviest sound that ever yet they heard. I guessed at it. Your castle is surprised, your wife and babes savagely slaughtered. To relate the manner were on the quarry of these murdered deer, to add the death of you. Merciful heaven! So he's looking at Macduff. Macduff is, of course, taking it hard. What, man? Never pull your hat upon your brows. Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak whispers the overfraught heart and bids it break. So you have to let it out. My children, too? Wife, children, servants, all that could be found. And I must be from thence? So I had to have been away from them? My wife killed too? I have said. Malcolm has an interesting take here. He's trying to make him feel better, but he's also trying to spur him on to use his anger to be a better fighter. It's not really taken all that well by Macduff, though. Be comforted. Let's make us medicines of our great revenge to cure this deadly grief. He has no children. All my pretty ones? Did you say all? Oh, Hellkite, all? What, and all my pretty chickens and their dam at one fell swoop? Dispute it like a man. I shall do so, but I must also feel it as a man. I cannot but remember such things that were most precious to me. Did heaven look on and would not take their part? Sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee, not that I am not for their own demerits, but for mine, for else slaughter on their souls. Heaven rest them now. So he's feeling responsible. He's the one that left them unattended, left them without protection. And they died just for his sin because he wouldn't back Macbeth. It had nothing to do with the family. But that line where Malcolm almost says, man up, like take it like a man. And he says, no, this is how a man would take it. With deep emotion, they were my family. Malcolm continues to push him. Be this the whetstone of your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart, enrage it. So I'm not telling you to close your heart down. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be so big that this is going to vault you on to taking on Macbeth. Oh, I could play the woman with mine eyes and braggart with my tongue, but gentle heavens, cut short all intermission. Front to front bring thou this fiend of Scotland and myself. So front to front, I want to face him. Within my sword's length set him. If he scape, heaven forgive him too. So Malcolm's ready to take everybody to Scotland. This tune goes manly. Come, we go to the king. Our power is ready, our lack is nothing but our leave. Macbeth is ripe for shaking, and the powers above put on their instruments. Receive what cheer you may, the night is long that never finds the day. So he'd be calling out to everyone who's going to follow them. Eat well, drink well, sleep well tonight, for tomorrow we march.